I was feeling really strong with my backhand and my sidearm going into 2017. I was excited and went home to play a couple A tiers. First day I was running to my tee time because I was practicing putting on a basket that was far away from where I was teeing off, and was running and tripped over a tee pad and took a spill. It actually hurt my knee and the side of my leg more than it hurt my wrist at first, but what actually was hurt was the outside or the ulnar side of my wrist. I didn't realize that until about halfway through the second round. It started tugging every time I would throw a sidearm or throw a putt, but I continued to play through because I figured it was a minor injury. It wasn't. So I rested for a few weeks. I figured with a minor sprain or a strain that give it a couple weeks of rest. I was in good shape and it'll be fine. I came back to play the very next event that I had planned to play, which was Nick Hyde in Texas, and barely made it through the first 9 holes. So I made some doctor's appointments, and I think there was a 1 week or a 2 week break between the next big event, which was the Glass Blown Open. The doctor convinced me to get a steroid shot, which was the first time I had ever had that. I wasn't thrilled, but I did it anyways because I was desperate at that point to be out playing, and because I love it and because it was my only income at the time. He had me splint it after my steroid shot for a week with no movement at all, and I took it off probably 4 days before GBO, and my arm was the equivalent of a piece of angel hair pasta. At that point, I really had to take a step back because I had already hit the bottom of my finances. So I really had to make a decision at that point whether I was going to keep going or go home and get a job. I went home. I started rehabbing. At that point, I met Seth Munsey. I said, I'm going to go 100% on this rehab. If it doesn't work, I'm better for it. I've worked hard, I've gotten strong. If it does work, then I get to play disc golf again. I get to come back and compete. I attacked the problem instead of just sitting back and resting and letting it get better on its own. About 2 months since the original injury, I tried to play Masters Cut, did not make it through, and at that point decided I was not going to touch a disc and rehab only until the end of the year. It was a big decision and a big commitment too, because basically I committed the rest of the year to disc golf still while not playing disc golf. I decided to stay present on the road. I still rode around with Paige occasionally. I ran clinics, I sold discs, I did some commentary, I did some photography for PDGA, took some tips from Alyssa Van Lanen. I went from a player to being a media and content producer and clinic giver. And even though I wasn't playing, people still came to my clinics and they still listened to me give advice. Paige alone, touring with her, just being a great friend, she was supporting me the entire time. Terry Miller, Steve Dodge, the PDGA, Marty Gregoire, Mike Downs, all of them realizing that this was kind of a make or break moment, they all stepped in and said, we're not going to let you leave, because I had, been floating around the idea of leaving. Innova, they were like, we're not going to let this happen. We are going to make this work. And we made it work. And I don't think there's a lot of communities that would do that for a player. In the middle of 2018, I was able to pick up my sidearm again. I was still scared, I think, to use it on big drives. So I had started using my backhand more often. It wasn't as consistent as I would have liked because I hadn't had much time working with it in the field. The discs were all kind of new for my backhand. And whenever my forehand sort of came back in the middle of the season, I kind of switched into old habits and started throwing a lot more forehands. Kind of retweaked an old elbow injury. It wasn't anything serious, but just made it so I couldn't throw power forehands. At that point, I realized again, either you're gonna have to not play disc golf or you're going to have to learn your backhand. So I decided to work on my putter shots. I decided to work on my mid-range shots, and that's what I have spent my off season working on more than anything. I almost kind of retired my drivers for a little while. It's almost given me a new spin on disc golf. It's a lot of fun because now every course is different when I step up to a teepad. In 2019, I'm hoping to be a lot more competitive now that I've filled the gaps in my bag that I've had before. I still have my rollers, my thumbers, my tomahawks, all the utility shots that I love to throw. I think it's going to give me a leg up on the competition that I hadn't had before. So I really can't wait to see how this year goes. The reason I wanted to share all of this with you is because I'm hoping that for all the people that have hit rock bottom and for all the people that are maybe afraid to take the next step, you kind of have to turn your mental game around. And it sounds corny, it sounds cheesy, but if you turn it around and believe that it's time to do it, believe you can do it, believe now is the time, you just have to kind of pull your pants up and do it.